Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have NBA Finals Dom pick. In the finals, representing the Western Conference, we have the San Antonio Spurs. And representing the Eastern Conference, we have the New York Knicks. The last time these two teams met in the finals was in 1999, before my time. And the last time the New York Knicks reach the NBA Finals. I want this series to go 7, and it has all the potential of doing so, but don't sleep on the Knicks just yet. They have all the pieces, and they have the momentum to pull off the upset and to once again lift the Larry O'Brien. Let's start off previewing the Knicks. As I've mentioned all postseason long, I love the depth that New York has. Considering the defensive scheme that the Spurs love to incorporate to allow Wemby to be aggressive as a rim protector, in this series, they're probably going to have to tweak that a tad bit. In that OKC series, we saw a few games where the Thunder role players have their way. And that's because San Antonio is willing to conceive open three-point shots. Against the Knicks, San Antonio is going to have to clean that part of the defense up. If you give those same open looks to OG, Landry Shamet, who's coming off of a stellar three-point shooting display in the Eastern Conference Finals, along with Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, who are rhythm shooters, the Spurs will have more difficulty in winning this series. Mitchell Robinson's health is a big question mark. At the time of this recording, I believe it's expected of him to be a full go for this series, but I imagine to some degree he will be compromised, and if he is, that takes away the Knicks' biggest weapon around the rim on both ends, especially when it comes to the offensive glass. We saw that be an area of weakness when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, especially when Luke Kornet is out on the floor. When Wemby is there, it felt like they were able to limit the offensive rebounds they surrendered. But even still, there were spurts. For the Knicks, they thrive on getting those extra possessions. So we'll see whether or not the injury to Mitchell Robinson has an impact on this series. Elsewhere for the New York Knicks, OG, Bridges, and Hart, that trio is going to be instrumental in this series. Not necessarily for their offense, but defensively, this is where they will be needed for the Knicks to win a championship. I think OG Anunoby will have stretches where he's guarding Wembanyama because he offers that length and he offers the physicality as well to bother Wemby and keep him from getting to his spots around the rim. When it comes to Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, they will have their hands cut out for them because they have that three-headed monster at the guard position in Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, and De'Aaron Fox. The reason why the Knicks have been dominant is partially because of their defense. Bridges and Hart play a large role in that because they're able to create deflections, force turnovers, and that's been another weakness, especially in losses for the San Antonio Spurs. And lastly, for the New York Knicks side, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns have to be the two best players, not only for the Knicks, but in this series as well. Starting with Cat, he has to remain aggressive on both ends of the floor. He's taking more pride defensively, and that has to continue matching up against Wemby. Cat still has to be dialed in defensively to protect the rim and to make it difficult on Wemby to get into his positions. Offensively for Cat, for as great as he's been as a facilitator, the Knicks will need his scoring to win this series. I've said it before, Cat is the best stretch big in the league. He has to bring that level of shot making to the finals in order to make it difficult on the Spurs defense. For Jalen Brunson, the Knicks need the captain to show up. Throughout his Knicks tenure, we've seen several defenders be thrown at Jalen Brunson in several series, and all those defenders have respectfully failed. When it comes to Stephon Castle, he is a different breed. We saw SGA have his struggles, and to some degree, Jalen Brunson and SGA have a similar style. I would not be shocked if the defensive strategy aligned in this series as well. However, Jalen Brunson in this Knicks offense is slightly different. In particular, during this postseason run, ball movement has been the recipe for success. Brunson is one of the clutchest players today, and I believe more times than not, he will be able to take the Knicks home if given the opportunity. That being said, the matchup between him and Stephon Castle will be a fun one to watch. And before we get into my prediction, let me get into it from the Spurs side. One area I want to see the Spurs improve in for this series is their bench contributions. Dylan Harper is amazing. He has some great performances off of the bench in that OKC series, but outside of him, there aren't many contributions. Keldon Johnson, the reigning Sixth Man of the Year, I need to see more out of him. I believe too many times this postseason run, we haven't seen the full version of him. If Johnson could get back to the level of consistency he had during the regular season, the Spurs are going to be in a much better position. Elsewhere for the bench unit, Luke Kornet. Before the last two games of the OKC series, there were major questions regarding whether or not he was playable. Eventually, Mitch Johnson just cut down his minutes, matching up against Cat out on the perimeter, having to deal with Mitch Robinson off of the bench, crashing the offensive boards. Kornet has to bring a level of physicality from the jump. Another component to watch for the Spurs during the finals is Wemby's level of aggression. We saw during the course of the OKC series, especially in the first half, there was not enough aggression offensively. If Victor has the right level of aggression from the jump, that makes the Spurs team more dangerous, especially if he's not settling for jump shots. That's my lone critique when it comes to Wembanyama. I believe the main reason for why he settles for jump shots sometimes is because he doesn't have that strength yet to get to his spot down low. Because once Wemby is able to get to the paint, 9 times out of 10, he's going to end up finishing with 2 points. Maybe even 3 with an and 1. To finish the goal and win a championship, Wembanyama has to set the tone from the start. If he doesn't, this Spurs team will struggle to win, as we saw during the course of that OKC series, where in the first half, if he shot less than 5 times, they more than likely went on to lose that game. Lastly, on the Spurs side, I'm curious to see how the defensive strategies adjust for this series. Over the course of the series, don't be surprised if you see Wembanyama matched up with Josh Hart, because they will dare him to take some of those open looks. Josh Hart, although isn't the greatest three-point shooter, he's a confident shooter while also being a smart playmaker as well, because he'll just attack a defender if they're not playing him honest. And that leads to other breakdowns in which he could kick out for a better look at a three by an OG or maybe a Cat. And speaking of Cat, if Wemby is not the primary defender on him, more than likely Julian Champagnie gets that assignment. Champagnie did a solid job holding his own against Ihart and Chet, but against Cat, I believe Cat will take advantage of that matchup, especially more than Chet in the previous series. I'm expecting the Spurs defense to dare the Knicks offense to beat them through three-point shooting, which is a dangerous game in my opinion, considering the fact that the Knicks are one of the better three-point shooters, especially here in the playoffs. That's why I'm expecting the Spurs to make adjustments. I'm not sure yet how that might pan out, but there's just no way the Spurs will remain comfortable through the course of a potential 7-game series to allow the Knicks role players to get easy three-point looks. For my Dom pick, I'm taking the San Antonio Spurs in 7. The lack of experience and youth has yet to slow down the Spurs team. This will be a back-and-forth series, definitely the toughest series in the postseason thus far for the Knicks. I give San Antonio the edge, however, because they have a cheat code defensively in Wembanyama. And when Wemby is on the floor, opposing offenses can't score around the rim. Three-point shooting has been amazing for New York all season long, but I believe the Knicks will fall just short. The three-headed monster at guard for San Antonio puts them over the top as well. I love what I've seen from Dylan Harper. Doesn't even seem like he's a rookie. Stephon Castle, underrated offensive game, defensive menace. De'Aaron Fox, trusted veteran, will give you a spark when needed. You have Julian Champagnie, Devin Vassell. You can count on those two to knock down timely shots. And Wembanyama is the head of the snake. As long as he's playing offensively with a purpose, this Spurs team will be difficult to beat. Comment down below your prediction for the 2026 NBA Finals. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one.